In this video, we'll take a look at battery aging overview, understand what is calendar and cycle aging, and what are the factors which affect each of them. So let's get started. What are the three things that we hate the most? Well, if you ask me, which you haven't, I would say low network signal, buffering, and of course, slow battery. Battery have become such an integral part of human life that even our human emotions are linked to battery SoC. We feel happy when it's fully charged, anxious when it's about to drain completely, and relieved when charger is plugged in. Gone are the days when our Nokia cell phones battery used to last for weeks without charging. Now we can't sustain a day without charger. So what is the solution to this problem? Well, one possible solution is to keep your phone on the table and go outside. Now, this is something which I hope you're definitely not looking for. So that brings us to the agenda of this presentation, which is what is battery aging. So some images from our childhood. You remember the laser light which we used to play with when we were kids, which used to come with few design patterns and few coin cells, and then our good old pendulum clock, which used to hang on the wall, and we used to watch it to finish our homework and get back to playing cricket. Or the TV remote, which has got a lot of spanking from us in the past. So do you remember if you use any of these today, they don't work anymore? The cells that you have kept, which was working when you left it, doesn't work anymore. You've not used any of these for long, but still the cell has gone dead. What has changed over time? Why is the cell which was working in the past is not working today without using it? So the reason to this is calendar aging. A cell degrades over time, even if you use it or not use it. So even without using a cell, it degrades over time. And once it reaches a critical value, which is known as end of life, it can no longer provide you charge. So that is the reason why any of these old cells won't work today. And stop beating your TV remote, it won't work. Just replace the cells. On the other hand, now we have come up with rechargeable batteries. So power bank is one of the commonly used product. We used to also have rechargeable cells, which used to come with a charger, and we used to plug them, charge it, reuse it over and over again. And in today's world of EV, we look forward to SoC and range. Range anxiety is one of the key factors before people buy a EV or decide to buy an EV. So if you have noticed over time, if you keep on using these products, they tend to degrade in terms of performance. A power bank which used to charge a cell phone twice when it was new will only charge once or even less now. What is the reason? Your electric vehicle used to have a range of X kilometers, but it can no longer give even half of it today after 3 or 4 years. Why is it so? So the reason to all these questions is cycle aging. In a nutshell, calendar aging is degradation of battery over time without applying any load, without using it. Cycle aging, on the other hand, is an accelerated form of aging which results from cyclic usage of a product. So when you use a power bank and charge it again, you're basically discharging and charging, which is known as cycle aging. Calendar aging is a slow degradation process as compared to cycle aging, which is an accelerated one. So with this background, we are ready to understand different aging mechanisms and its causes. So this slide might scare some of you away, but hold on. I'll try to simplify it. So just focus on the headings of these 4 sections. So what we are looking at is common causes of aging, which include time, temperature, voltage, current. And then due to these causes, what are the different mechanisms which are being triggered? What are the electrochemical reactions or aging mechanisms which are triggered as a result of these causes? So there are different aging mechanisms which we'll talk about in detail in separate videos. But the common ones include SEI layer growth, lithium plating, CEI layer growth, etc. Then these mechanisms leads to different degradation modes. So loss of lithium inventory, loss of active material, or conductivity loss, which eventually lead to an effect which can be broadly classified as capacity fade or power fade. So we'll talk about the last 3 sections separately, but let us focus on the left extreme, which is causes. So time is one of the reasons which leads to degradation. We saw in the previous slide what is calendar aging. Even without applying any load, over time cell degrades. So time is one of the factors. High temperature or low temperature are another important reason. So if you're operating your cell in extreme temperature conditions, then the degradation will increase. Similarly, if you operate your cell on extreme voltage limits, which is high cell voltage or low cell voltage, then this will also increase cell aging. Current load, higher the current load, higher would be the degradation, and mechanical stress will also lead to some form of degradation. So these are the common causes. Now let us jump into the factors affecting aging. So talking about calendar aging, it is mainly driven by temperature, SoC, and duration or time. SoC here indicates the storage SoC or the SoC at which you left the cell for a long time, and then after coming back you observe a decrease in capacity. Cycle aging, on the other hand, depends on temperature of cycling, C rate of cycling, depth of discharge, DOD, how deep you're discharging and charging your cell, AH throughput, and SoC. So these are the common factors which affect calendar and cycle aging. And when both of these combine together, they lead to total capacity fade, which we observe eventually as a byproduct. Now let's understand each of these with the help of few examples. Talking about temperature dependence, so the general thumb rule is higher the temperature, higher would be the degradation. We're looking at calendar aging, so x-axis would be time. When we come to cycle aging, x-axis would be number of cycles. So over time, we can see capacity varying between 100, 80, and 60. So if you keep your cell at 25 degrees Celsius, it has the lowest degradation. If you keep on increasing the temperature 40, 50, 60, 80, it starts to degrade faster, which is a general trend being observed. Next is SoC. So if you store your cell at a higher SoC, for instance, you left your cell for an year at 100% SoC versus 2% SoC. So you can clearly see 2% doesn't degrade much, whereas 100% is almost dead now within few months. So higher the storage SoC, higher would be the degradation, which is a general thumb rule. Duration is a very critical factor in calendar aging. As we have discussed in previous slides, over time cell degrades without having applying any load. So as time increases, capacity decreases or degradation increases. So there's a direct correlation between time and calendar aging. Moving on to cycle aging. So the thumb rule is higher the temperature, higher would be the degradation, which can be seen in this image. This image shows cycle number. One cycle represents one charge and discharge with the following criteria. So we are discharging it at 0.7 C and we are charging it up to a point where in the CV mode, the current reaches C by 5. So the cutoff current is C by 5 and the discharge is at 0.7 C. So with this condition, we're cycling at 10, 25, 45, 60, and we are looking at capacity versus cycle number. You can clearly see lower the temperature, lower is the degradation. At 60 degree, we can even see it's reaching the end of life, which is 80% typically in automotive. In stationary application, it could be lower, but 80% in general is considered as end of life. And we can see the cell has reached end of life within roughly 300 or 350 cycles. Moving on to C rate, higher the C rate, higher would be the degradation. Blue line represents 0.5 C, followed by 2 C, 3.5 C, 5 C, and 6.5 C. So higher the C rate, higher is the capacity loss, which means more is the degradation. This was done at 10 degrees Celsius, but a similar trend can be observed at different temperatures. Depth of discharge, DOD, is the difference between the initial and the final SoC when you're discharging your cell during a cycle. So we can clearly see higher the DOD, higher is the degradation. So for instance, if you are discharging your cell from 100 SoC to 0 SoC, it's known as 100 DOD. 90 to 10 is 80 DOD, and so on. So 20 DOD has the lowest degradation, followed by 35, 50, 65, 80, and 100. AH throughput indicates net charge or cumulative charge, which is going through the cell, coming in and going out of the cell. So the cumulative charge, which is nothing but integral of current in absolute values over time. So the value of current may be positive or negative depending on whether you're discharging or charging. So if we take a mod of it, we are considering both as positive and finding a cumulative sum. So this is Coulomb counting with a positive current with an absolute current value over time. So higher the throughput, higher is the degradation. When it comes to SoC, this is one of the interesting factors which not many know. So if you keep the DoD fixed, for example, in this figure, we are looking at number of cycles and capacity fade or capacity loss in percentage at three different average SoC values. So the thing to note here is we have kept the DoD constant, which is 35% DoD, and we have fixed the C rate, we have fixed the temperature, so all other factors are fixed. We are only varying average SoC. So the 35% DoD mean is centered around these three SoC levels, which means 27.5 is closer to a fully discharged cell, whereas 72.5 is more closer to a fully charged cell. But the DoD is same. So we can observe if we are closer to a fully discharged point, lower the SoC, lower is the degradation. So if you're keeping your SoC average SoC higher when you're cycling, for example, if you have a cell phone which you keep on discharging from 100 to 70, 100 to 70 for 1000 cycles, whereas your cousin, on the other hand, has similar habit but is more cautious, and he discharges a cell from 30 to 0, 30 to 0 over and over again. So you will face degradation faster as compared to your cousin because your cousin had kept the average SoC lower. It was 15 for him, it was 85 for you, even though the DoD was same, 30% for both. So higher the average SoC, higher the SoC, higher would be the degradation when it comes to cycle aging. It can also be indirectly related to calendar aging because we saw earlier, higher the storage SoC, higher would be the degradation. So the aging mechanisms which are triggered with calendar aging will also come into play when you're doing cycle aging. So the cumulative effect, which is the total capacity fade, is what you see here. So to summarize, calendar aging is a function of time, SoC, and temperature. On the other hand, cycle aging is a function of C rate, temperature, depth of discharge, state of charge, and charge throughput. Total aging is a combined effect of cycle and calendar aging. And special thanks to both the references mentioned below, using which I created this presentation, took some photos for ease of explanation. So I hope this video was helpful. Thanks for watching.